Welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into the world of conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. You know, those stories that sounded so crazy, so out there, that they had to be fake, except they weren't. Buckle up, because some of these revelations are truly mind-blowing. We're talking government cover-ups, secret experiments, lies, and betrayals that would make your head spin. It's like something out of a movie. But this is real life, you guys. And the truth is often stranger than fiction, so let's get right into it with number one. Picture this, it's the Cold War, tensions are high, and the CIA is desperate to crack the code of mind control. Sounds like a movie, right? But it actually happened. The project was called MKUltra, and it was the government experimenting on its own people. Unsuspecting citizens were given LSD, hypnotized, subjected to electroshock therapy. They wanted to erase memories, control thoughts, even create Manchurian candidates. And the craziest part? Most of this stuff was kept under wraps for years. It wasn't until the 70s that the truth started to come out. MKUltra is proof that sometimes the most unbelievable stories are true. This next one is just heartbreaking. For 40 years, the US Public Health Service conducted a study on 600 African-American men in Tuskegee, Alabama. Now here's the thing, these men were told they were getting free healthcare for bad blood, which was a catch-all term for things like anemia and syphilis. But the truth? The government knew these men had syphilis, and they withheld treatment. Let me say that again. They knew these men were sick, and they let them suffer. All in the name of science. Can you imagine? For decades, these men went untreated, passing the disease onto their wives, their children. It wasn't until 1972 that a whistleblower finally exposed the study and the public was outraged. The Tuskegee syphilis study is a stain on American history, a reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and systemic racism in medicine. It's a story that needs to be told, no matter how uncomfortable it makes us feel. Okay, so have you ever wondered who controls the narrative? Like, how come some stories get tons of attention while others are totally buried? Well, get this. During the Cold War, the CIA launched a top-secret program called Operation Mockingbird. The goal? To secretly influence the media. I'm talking about recruiting journalists, planting stories, basically using the news as a weapon of propaganda. They wanted to control what people saw, what they read, what they believed. And guess what? It actually worked. For years, the CIA was secretly feeding information to major news outlets, shaping public opinion and influencing foreign policy. The whole thing sounds like a conspiracy theory, right? But it's true. It was exposed in the 70s by a Senate committee, and it led to a huge scandal. Operation Mockingbird is a chilling reminder that we can't always believe what we read or what we see on TV. Sometimes the truth is stranger and scarier than fiction. Watergate. The scandal that brought down a president. All right, Watergate, you've probably heard of it, but it's so much more than just a break-in at a hotel. This was a full-blown political scandal that rocked America and took down a president. It all started in 1972 when 5 men were caught breaking into the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate Hotel. These men were connected to Nixon's re-election campaign, there to plant bugs and steal documents. The investigation revealed cover-ups, hush money, secret tapes, and shady dealings. Facing impeachment, Nixon resigned in disgrace in 1974. The scandal showed that even the president isn't above the law. The Iran-Contra affair, a deal with the enemy? The Iran-Contra affair? Another scandal with a crazy name and even crazier details. In the 1980s, the Reagan administration was all about fighting communism, but Congress had passed a law forbidding the US from funding the Contras. So what did the Reagan administration do? They secretly sold weapons to Iran and used the money to fund the Contras. Talk about a shady deal. When the news broke, it caused a huge uproar. People were outraged that the government would sell arms to a hostile nation and lie about it. 11 members of the Reagan administration were eventually convicted of crimes. The Iran-Contra affair showed that even with good intentions, governments can go to extreme lengths to get what they want. The Gulf of Tonkin Incident Was it all a lie? The Gulf of Tonkin Incident is one of those events that had massive consequences. We're talking about a turning point in the Vietnam War. In 1964, the US government claimed that North Vietnamese torpedo boats had attacked American destroyers in the Gulf of Tonkin. This incident, presented as an unprovoked attack, led President Lyndon B. Johnson to escalate American involvement in Vietnam, sending in more troops and bombs. But here's the catch. It turned out that the second attack, the one that really fueled the fire, probably never happened. Declassified documents and testimonies from those involved revealed that the US government had exaggerated the incident, if not outright fabricated it, to justify their actions in Vietnam. The Gulf of Tonkin incident is a stark reminder of how easily governments can manipulate information and public perception to achieve their goals, even if it means leading a nation into war. Big Tobacco, they knew about the dangers all along. For decades, Big Tobacco, the major tobacco companies, told us smoking was glamorous, sophisticated, even healthy. But behind the scenes, they knew the truth. Cigarettes were addictive and deadly. Internal documents that came to light in the 1990s showed that tobacco companies had been conducting research for years that proved the harmful effects of smoking. They knew that nicotine was addictive, that smoking caused cancer, heart disease, and a whole host of other health problems. But did they tell the public? Nope. Instead, they spent billions of dollars on advertising and lobbying to downplay the risks, discredit scientific evidence, and target young people. It wasn't until millions of people got sick and died that the truth finally came out. The Big Tobacco Scandal is a classic example of corporate greed and deception, and it led to massive lawsuits and stricter regulations on the tobacco industry. COINTELPRO, the FBI versus civil rights. Imagine the FBI, the very agency tasked with upholding the law, secretly working to undermine and discredit civil rights leaders and activists. Sounds crazy, right? But that's exactly what happened with COINTELPRO. From the 1950s to the 1970s, the FBI, under the direction of J. Edgar Hoover, carried out a series of covert and often illegal operations to disrupt and neutralize groups they deemed subversive. This included civil rights organizations like the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and the Black Panther Party. The FBI used wiretaps, surveillance, infiltration, and even disinformation campaigns to sow discord, discredit leaders, and undermine these movements. They spread rumors, forged documents, and even instigated violence to turn public opinion against these groups. COINTELPRO was a dark chapter in FBI history, a betrayal of public trust and a violation of civil liberties. Operation Northwoods, a false flag plot. Too far? This one sounds like something straight out of a spy thriller, but it really happened. In the early 1960s, tensions between the US and Cuba were at an all-time high. The Bay of Pigs invasion had just failed, and the Kennedy administration was looking for a way to justify a full-scale invasion of Cuba. Enter Operation Northwoods. This was a top-secret plan developed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff that involved staging fake terrorist attacks on American soil. I'm talking about blowing up buildings, hijacking planes, even simulating attacks on US military bases. The idea was to blame these attacks on Cuba and use them as a pretext for war. Thankfully, President Kennedy rejected the plan, recognizing it for the reckless and morally reprehensible scheme that it was. Operation Northwoods is a chilling reminder that even in a democracy, the potential for government overreach and manipulation is always present. The NSA's mass surveillance, they're watching you. In the digital age, privacy has become a major concern, and for good reason, because, as Edward Snowden's revelations in 2013 showed us, the government, specifically the National Security Agency, NSA, had been collecting vast amounts of data on its own citizens. We're talking about phone records, emails, internet activity, all swept up in a massive surveillance net. The NSA argued that this was necessary to prevent terrorism, but many people felt it was a gross invasion of privacy. Suddenly, the Orwellian idea of Big Brother watching your every move didn't seem so far-fetched anymore. These Snowden leaks sparked a global debate about the balance between security and privacy in a digital age. It made us question how much of our personal information we're willing to sacrifice in the name of safety. And it highlighted the need for greater transparency and oversight when it comes to government surveillance programs. The truth is out there. And there you have it, folks. 10 conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. From mind control experiments to government cover-ups, these stories show that sometimes the truth really is stranger than fiction. Remember, always question what you hear and seek the truth. Don't be afraid to dig deeper, to challenge the official narrative and to think for yourself. Because the more we know, the better equipped we are to protect ourselves from those who would seek to control us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more intriguing content. See you next time.